So when we think about where this market is headed in the coming weeks, I do think that HBAR is probably going to be one of the biggest winners, right? I don't think that that's new news, right? You guys have been watching my videos over the last couple weeks, and I have been very vocal about why I do think that HBAR is going to be massive. But what if I told you that when we think about Hedera and what's happening right now with the enterprise side of things, Hedera now has everything all in one as well, very similar to what Ripple has been offering, right? With Ripple custody, Ripple stablecoins, things like that. Hedera is now right on par with that. These are the gold standard networks. Hedera, the XRP Ledger, these are very prominent names. The XRP Ledger is, doing very well. Hedera is also doing very well. And when I think about gold standard networks, it's not just Hedera and Ripple, obviously. We also think about Quant. We think about, Stellar. We also think about Algorand. There's a few great projects in the space, but the main thing that I'm bringing up here and the main thing that I actually want to talk about is enterprise grade adoption. Why enterprises are going to flock to Hedera in a big wave. And it mainly goes back to the whole offering, right? They want to be an all-in-one player around enterprises. And in this video, I really want to align with everyone on this because I want you guys to realize what's really going on here. So number one, let's actually start off with price action. So like I said, yeah, I do think that this is going to be a huge year for price action for a lot of these altcoins. And of course, HBAR is no different. This is what the 1 year looks like right now on HBAR. It looks very good. Sideways momentum, just ranging against a downtrend, waiting for the trend to actually get broken for us to go crazy yet again. Trading volume up over 30+% in the last 24 hours. Love to see that. We might have a few, speed bumps in the road, slow us down, but I do think that HBAR is going to soon wake up in a huge way. Now, on top of that, let's actually talk a little bit about the offering around Hedera. Number one, they recently just launched the AI Studio. This is huge. Now, the AI Studio, you might think, all right, well, this is just for developers. It's not really a big thing for enterprises, but that's where everyone is kind of missing the big picture. A lot of these pieces to the Hedera network are actually pieces for major enterprise grade adoption. This is allowing any major enterprise to build out automated workflows, automated AI solutions, you name it. This is very, very exciting stuff. Now, on top of that, it's not just the AI studio. Obviously, there's a lot more behind Hedera, like even the stablecoin studio and Hedera Guardian, but the asset tokenization studio is the next big one that I'm actually looking at, right? Because when we think about tokenization, who are the major names behind tokenization? It's not retail-based companies. It's massive financial giants, enterprise, names as well. But when we think about that, right, like look at the names tied back to the asset tokenization studio on Hedera: Aberdeen, Archix, Red Swan, Diamond Standard. I mean, guys, these names are not small time names. These are very large, prominent names. I take a look at Archix, for an example, ties back to Fidelity, State Street, BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, you name it. So when we think about what's really going on here, these are all enterprise grade pieces for Hedera to really kind of target the biggest use cases and the biggest names out there. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we have over here a few clips. Number one, we have from Lehman Bear that everything of value in the world will be tokenized. What does this mean for the future of AI and autonomous agents? What will happen when AI agents can own and trade assets? Check this out.
Everything of value in the world will be tokenized. And it gives all the same advantages of why all the information eventually went into databases. For the same reason, everything of value will be tokenized. And then ledgers can let you use it in very good ways and makes it accessible to your agents to deal with on your behalf. Everything of value in the world.
Now, on top of that, we also have over here Hedera equals AI's trust layer. Why? LLM, data provenance, verifiable models, auditable outputs, enforceable ethics. This is Mance Harmon. He said it. Hedera does it. Fast, final, trustless. Check it out.
And so Hashgraph, Hedera in this case is providing the trust layer for AI. Now they're sort of the earliest uses of Hashgraph or Hedera for AI that we've already talked about and everybody kind of understands. And that is providing provenance of LLMs. And so Hashgraph.
Now, the reason why I wanted to include these two clips is because of this. Big shout out to Ismail Assad. We have bringing enterprises on chain. In today's live chat with Gregory L. Bell, Chief Business Officer at the Hedera Foundation, we dove into tokenizing real world assets, the AI and crypto frontier, and how Hedera is powering these use cases. Again, focus on the key things here. AI and tokenization. These are enablers of mass enterprise grade adoption and utilization. Check it out.
I think the finality side is particularly important to, as you're saying, regulated financial assets, because if you do have another fork that becomes longer and it's the dominant chain that wins, well, now you have, you know, some regulated asset on two different chains, and you're like, which one is the legitimate one?
And when you start to get to the value proposition of this technology on an industry-wide level, like why does an issuer choose to tokenize a security, or you know, why does an investment bank or a broker decide to utilize a digital asset rail rather than legacy rails? A lot of it gets into the collateral mobility, lending relationships. Mm-hmm. It gets into speed of money and transitions of transmission of value.
Yeah.
That finality really matters, because if I'm lending something to you, receipt of collateral and having true custody and legal ownership is critical. And we get into high velocity, high frequency trading, and we'll get into, I'm sure, the AI components in terms of some, you know, robo advisors and things like that, which will only accelerate the movement of capital.
Yeah.
It becomes even more and more important.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, listen, when we really think about what's ongoing here with Hedera, Hedera has always been the enterprise grade network. That's not new. Okay. Even back in 2021, they were mainly focused on enterprises. Today, they still are. Now, if we go over here, we have from the Hashgraph Association, Hashgraph for global sustainability, digital product passports, and purpose-driven AI. In our latest product, PwC Blockchain Lead provides key insights into the real-world use cases driving enterprise DLT adoption. Hedera and HBAR technology are leading the charge.
And I think in order to have those multiple use cases, I think this is why I think there is a very clear focus from Hedera Hashgraph Association as well to focus on sustainability, because it at the moment is a kind of a starting point, you know, that it becomes a mandatory. And I think companies need to understand, and they are actually very smartly also developing the whole ecosystem around it. As we just mentioned, that it's not only blockchain, but we need, you know, +1 technology and -1 technology also together with it, right? And I think this is exactly what Hedera is also enabling. And I think this is what I see, you know, is a kind of appropriate time frame when it relates to the use cases. I think digital product passport is one of them. Right. The second one, what I really see is the AI. Right. I mean, AI is a super big topic, but I mean, at the moment, I'm also developing a specific AI demo. Right. But the key question, we said, okay, how can you trust the data of AI? I mean, if AI is giving you a recommendation, so how do you enable and ensure that, you know, can you make business decision based on AI? Right. When it comes to the business decision, you need some kind of an surety that you can trust the data. And I think again, this trust element will come from the blockchain technologies. But I think this needs to be further, you know, researched upon, like how do you do that? But I think not really from a technical perspective, but rather from a business perspective. So I think this is going to be, you know, another topic in upcoming years, which will also take it to the mass adoption.
So yeah, I do think that this is going to lead to mass adoption. When we really think about enterprises, they are going to be the main drivers of mass adoption. If you actually really look into it, all it really takes is one big name, like, you know, I've said it, Amazon or Microsoft or, you know, even Android. We think about, you know, the Samsung companies or any big phone company that's using Android based technology, or even iPhones, right? We look at this technology and the number of users behind it. Some of these networks, some of these, you know, phones and devices connect to billions of people. So when we think about that, all right, all it really takes is one major upgrade. I talked about this even with, you know, a major update that got pushed recently. I mean, when we are talking about recently, I'm talking about a few months back. A lot of the Samsung phones actually got a AI push, right? It was an update that brought AI to, you know, every single Samsung device out there in the world. Okay, so think about how many devices that is. Think about how many users that is. All it takes is one. Now, When we think about PwC, they have massive industries already tied to it: consumer packaged goods, hospitality and leisure, restaurants, wholesale and agriculture, retail, transportation and logistics, energy, mining, power and utilities, banking, insurance, private equity, asset and wealth management, you name it. Every single industry is basically being tapped in here from PwC. And if we're actually looking at the strategic alliances, they already have massive tech giants tied into it. We look at Adobe, AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft, Oracle, SAP, Salesforce as well. And it's crazy because when we think about all of the additional names tied to PwC, this is a giant of a company. And they're talking about Hedera. They're addressing Hedera. They're talking about, DLT, tapping into, DLT in a big way to drive adoption of this tech and actually utilize it for the benefits of this tech as well. And that's where we actually start to see that door opening, right? And that door is opening even for Hedera when we look at names like NVIDIA and Intel tapping in, or all of the other enterprise grade applications that are already live on, Hedera. When we look over here, now we got 6 pages of enterprise grade applications that are building out on Hedera. These are incredible names, like for example, Australian Payments Plus. Okay, that's just one of these names on this list. And Hedera has been stockpiling major enterprise grade names already into the ecosystem. And it's only a matter of time until we start to really see the enterprise grade market erupt on Hedera. Not to mention HashSpear as well. And a lot of people were actually kind of concerned with this. Okay. But what this is a private permission network that's offering enterprises a flexible DLT solution that grows with their needs. Now it's currently in beta, but once this launches, I do think that this is going to be a game changer for Hedera as well in terms of the public chain. And a lot of people think that I'm crazy for saying that, but we heard about this even back in this video from May 6th from the Hashgraph. No walled gardens, just a flexible path to public. HashSpear built on Hedera gives enterprises a way in, starting private with public grade speed, security, and interoperability. Private when needed, public when ready. Check it out.
We want to find a way to bring those organizations into the Hedera world so that they can start working with us with the intention to connect to the public ledger at some point. We want to.
So yeah, I mean, listen, they start off with the private version and then they will go live on the public version. We know HashSpear is going to be a game changer. We know that this is tapping in with the enterprise grade, names as well. Just like almost all of the use cases from Hedera. You look at the AI studio, you look at the tokenization studio, you might not see it, but these are enterprise grade pieces to Hedera. I mean, all of the use cases, even when you look at some of these use cases, like even payments, right? You click the use cases on just payments and you're looking through here and it's like, all right, well, this is probably just for retail, right? Like this is going to be a game changer for retail. No, you got to remember that this is going to be with enterprise grade names. It's all about changing the way that money is moving for the enterprises, which will immediately impact millions and millions of lives because all it takes is one big player. Now, today, do we see massive amounts of transactions from enterprise players on Hedera? Not exactly, but I do think that we are getting very close to the day where we start to see these big players actually going live with the underlying technology and integrating the tech because of how close we are to regulations being fully live. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely will like, subscribe, turn notifications on because I'm free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.